Welcome back to another episode of the What We're Watching podcast. I'm Megan.
And I'm Jeni, and today we're talking about Aquamarine.
I used to love this movie.
Me too. I think I've seen this movie so many times. I didn't realize that I had. I totally forgot the plot.
This movie, I feel like, was such a small movie, which I don't mean negatively, but it seems so niche, and yet it's so iconic. Like, ask any girl in their 20s or 30s. Even my parents, I said we were recording this, and they were like, oh, the mermaid one, right? I was like, yeah.
It is iconic, that's true. And we did post an Instagram poll asking you guys if we should do an episode on it, and the results were outstanding. It was like 92% of people were like, yes, please make this.
And so here we are.
Yep.
You know, I actually had this confused in my brain for a second at the very beginning when we started talking about doing this episode with H2O.
Yes. Wait, were you an H2O girl?
Yes.
Me too. With Claire Holt and Phoebe Tonkin.
Yes, the Vampire Diaries girlies.
Yes.
Anyway, Aquamarine, very different, turns out.
But not so different because we do have a fun fact later that's related to both of them.
Oh, I'm excited for that. Okay, so the logline for this movie is two teenage girls, played by Joanna, aka JoJo, Levesque, and Emma Roberts, discover that mermaids really do exist after a violent storm washes one ashore. The mermaid, a sassy creature named Aquamarine, played by Sara Paxton, is determined to prove to her father that real love exists and enlists the girls' help in winning the heart of a handsome lifeguard, played by Jake McDorman.
Yeah, I completely forgot this was the plot of the movie.
Me too.
I just remembered the two friends and the mermaid. That was it.
Same.
But it was really cute. What did you think rewatching it?
I loved it. I thought it was so cute. And I watched this one by myself, and it was just like very comforting. It was just like a cute, easy, fun watch.
I would say to anyone who's thinking about rewatching it, if you have a friend or a partner who is a man, don't watch it with them because they will ruin it. I don't say that from experience.
Okay.
But I just knew. I was like, Robert, you can't watch this one with me.
Yeah, there's a difference to me between, and like not to be anti-male here, but like there's a difference between the rom-coms, like the 13 going on 30s, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, versus the like ones that swing more Disney Channel, like this one and the Lizzie McGuire movie, you know? Like you just probably aren't going to have a good experience if you watch the younger versions with the guys, you know?
Right, because this is for our nostalgia. This is for our childhood, for our inner child. This is not for
male consumption.
Exactly.
You got to protect it, you know?
I think you do have to protect your movie choices sometimes, yeah.
Mm-hmm. This would be a really fun, like, sleepover party. Or if you, like, had friends over and had, like, a little theme night and, like, went to the pool and made, like, cute drinks and had cupcakes and watched this movie, would be 10 out of 10.
Did you just plan our next party?
That's what we'll be doing this weekend?
I would love to do that. This movie came out in 2006, and I didn't know that it was based on a book with the same name.
No, I had no idea.
The author is Alice Hoffman, who I've heard of before. She's very famous.
Cool.
Yeah, if anyone's read the book, let us know. I also thought this was kind of crazy. It was filmed in Australia, even though the movie takes place in Florida.
It's giving H2O.
Right? And one of the main characters, who's played by JoJo, is moving to Australia in this movie. So I thought that was kind of funny that she already is in Australia.
That is weird. I'm surprised. Why wouldn't they just film it in Florida?
I have no idea.
That seems like such an ordeal to bring a full American cast and crew to Australia, but if that's fun for them. That's really fun.
Yeah.
Okay, should we talk about the girls?
Yes, we have to. We have to start with Sara Paxton.
Have to.
The Aquamarine.
Mm-hmm. We've talked about her before.
Yes, we have.
So her first major role was in Sleepover in 2004, so pretty much right before this. And then she was also in Return to Halloween Town, and that's where we've talked about her before because she plays Marnie, and I believe it's the fourth movie.
I think so, yeah.
And there's a lot of controversy, and she gets a lot of heat online because people preferred the original Marnie, and we talked a lot about this in our Halloween Town episode. And then she was also in Sydney White, which I love that movie.
I haven't seen that movie in so long.
Me either.
But I love Amanda Bynes, and I love Sara Paxton. She's also still acting, and she's pretty active on Instagram and TikTok. I had no idea. I haven't seen her in anything.
I'm definitely going to go follow her after this, though.
Yeah. And then about Aquamarine, she said that she felt a sense of empowerment while on set because almost everyone on set was a woman.
That's cool. I love that.
And she also said that the three girls, her, Emma Roberts, and JoJo, really got along on set, which we love.
Aww. Do you know, is she a similar age to them? Because she looked much older.
I think she was only 2 or 3 years older than them.
Okay, but that tracks. In like high school years, I feel like the difference between 13 and 16 is big.
Right, I feel like we're always talking about that. I think she might have been 17 or 18 while filming, and then Emma Roberts and JoJo were 15 and 16.
Okay. I love that she says that she felt a sense of empowerment because that makes me feel like she felt really safe and secure on set, and she had a lot of mermaid scenes where she's like wearing her tail and just her hair on top, and I could see how that would feel really uncomfortable as such a young person on set.
Absolutely, yeah, I agree. Or like that scene where she, spoiler alert, but not really, gets legs for the first time and she's naked, but you can't see her.
Yeah.
I feel like that would have been uncomfortable. Also, apparently Jessica Simpson was offered the role.
Interesting. The vast difference between Jessica Simpson and tiny baby Emma Roberts, who looks like my middle school pictures so much, or like my freshman year of high school pictures, just like awkward little fish, you know? Like before all of the high schoolers that we saw looked like Selena Gomez and Zendaya, you know?
Yeah.
I looked like Emma Roberts. And so it was really cute to see her. And the idea of Jessica Simpson being the mermaid with her, I just can't picture.
Yeah, I think there would have been like a 10-year age gap between them. And it reminds me of that movie with Tyra Banks and Lindsay Lohan, Life Size, where she is the Barbie doll and she's an actual grown adult. I think that's what it would be more similar to, because it would be like an adult mermaid with them.
Yeah, you're totally right. That would have really changed the dynamic with her also wanting to date this high school lifeguard.
I think they would have had to change the plot entirely.
Okay, should we talk about Emma Roberts?
I remember being obsessed with Emma Roberts as a kid because I loved her show Unfabulous.
Same. I loved that show. I thought that show was like the epitome of cool high schooler for some reason.
So did I. I think it came on before Zoe 101 every Sunday night, so I would watch them sequentially. It was my favorite TV night of all time. She was also in Nancy Drew, It's Kind of a Funny Story, We're the Millers, and then American Horror Story and Scream Queens more recently. Julia Roberts is her aunt. Have you seen the movie Valentine's Day?
Mm-hmm.
I've never seen it, but they're in that together, right?
Oh, we gotta do an episode on that. Maybe next Valentine's Day we can do that because it has Taylor Swift and Taylor Lautner. That's where they, dated.
That's right. I know exactly what the movie is. I just have never seen it for some reason.
I forgot that Emma Roberts was in that. That's funny.
Yeah, I love that she was in it with her aunt. Did you see Emma's house tour for Architectural Digest?
No.
She recently had a video come out with them where she toured her house, and I feel like it went a little viral because in it, she showed off her doll collection.
Oh, no.
And it's not a cute doll collection. It's a creepy doll collection.
Oh, no.
People were like, doesn't it scare you that they'll like wake up and do something? She's like, I would love that.
Oh, no. Oh, no. This is the American Horror Story side of her.
I know.
Oh, I don't like that.
No, me neither. But I think a lot of people thought it was endearing because it was kind of authentic and I don't know, her house seemed normal compared to other celebrities who do those tours.
Normal plus creepy doll collection.
Right.
I will be watching the video now, immediately after this.
You have to. You have to. Now, this is not very endearing or great, but she was accused of transphobia from her American Horror Story co-star, Angelica Ross. And then she was also arrested for domestic violence against her co-star and boyfriend at the time, Evan Peters.
Wow. I knew that she dated Evan Peters, who is also from American Horror Story, but I didn't know that she was arrested. That's crazy.
Yeah, so these are not very good things about her.
No. I want to be like, how sad, but it's not sad. It's more like gross.
Yeah.
Disappointing.
Yeah, disappointing for sure.
Okay, should we talk about JoJo?
JoJo. Her given name is Joanna Levesque, which Megan said earlier. And she was just such an icon at this time.
This was the most shocking thing watching this back because I remember JoJo being so cool. The coolest ever. Like she had all of her like little music videos that would come up on Disney Channel. And I remember thinking that she was so much older than me, which I guess she must have been, because 2006, I would have been in middle school, and this would have been, they would have been technically a few years older than me, I think. But not by much. Like, I'm watching this back going, this is, like I said, these girls are like cute little awkward 8th graders.
Mm-hmm.
Not super cool pop star that I remember necessarily.
Right. I just remember her being the coolest. I had her CD. And if you don't know JoJo, she's a singer. She was actually the youngest female solo artist to have a #1 single in the US.
Wow.
And that was with the song Leave, Get Out. I loved that song. I had it on repeat. Like I said, I played her CD over and over again. And I remember being shook to my core when I found out that she was 13 when she sang that song.
It does not, the math is not mathing.
She's like, you said that you would treat me right, but you were just a waste of time. And I'm like, JoJo, who hurt you? Other songs you may recognize from her are Baby It's You and Too Little Too Late.
I loved Too Little Too Late.
Yes.
Like, just, yeah, the math is not mathing. The picture in my head of JoJo as cool teenage pop star versus the, like, adorable little girl in this movie is, they cannot be reconciled.
That's why I love rewatching this movie, and I highly recommend a rewatch to anybody who hasn't seen it in a long time.
Definitely.
Aquamarine was JoJo's film debut, and she was also in the movie RV the same year with Robin Williams, Josh Hutcherson, and Cheryl Hines.
Wow.
Which I remember loving that movie.
That is such a big first year for her, and I feel like we were seeing her so much when we were probably in middle school, but I feel like I haven't seen her since then. Have you? Do you know what she's been doing?
No, she kind of disappeared, and I think now when you say JoJo, people think Siwa.
Yeah, true. Oof.
I just don't think that JoJo is like a household name like she once was. There is a whole bunch of dirt on this, and the reason why is kind of crazy. Her record label, Blackground Records, had a hold on her, which we've heard before from many artists, stories that are similar to this. And they weren't letting her release any new music after her second album, which came out pretty soon after Aquamarine. And they put her through this drastic and unhealthy weight loss program when she was just a teenager.
Mm.
And so she thought that they weren't releasing her music because she didn't have the right look that they wanted. And she said this led to her drinking and feeling like she wasn't good enough.
That breaks my heart.
I know. Her record label wasn't very supportive of her acting career either. So she had these 2 hit movies. She really could have just like launched after this, I feel like. And then she just didn't have the opportunity to. So she did file a lawsuit against Blackground Records for, quote, irreparable damages to her professional career. And during this time, she wasn't allowed to make music, but they did let her tour. Her family wanted her to just quit and go to college, but she did tour. And there was a whole #FreeJojo movement on social media from her fans. And she was finally released from the record label in 2014.
2014.
So that whole time when she could have been on top of the world, they just destroyed her career.
Yeah, that would have been her, what, 13 to 23? Something like that?
Something like that. She's 33 now.
Wow. That's so sad. All of that is so sad. The, like, forced weight loss program, the not letting her release music. It's so weird to me that they wouldn't be supportive of her acting career, too, because that inevitably would have been supporting her music.
I feel like it would have.
Like her popularity, certainly, at least in the beginning.
And she had so many hit songs. It's kind of crazy.
Interesting.
I think this was 2018. She tweeted, "I felt very alone when I was going through my lawsuit. It was my fans who kept me going. The #FreeJojo campaign meant everything to me." And I thought that was really sweet.
That is sweet.
Blackground did still have control over her old music. So, very similar to Taylor Swift, she had to re-record her first 2 albums. And she actually had to find ripped versions of her songs on YouTube so that she could refer back to the songs and recreate how they sounded.
Wow.
This was a whole thing. And then in 2021, Blackground re-released her original songs to streaming against her knowledge. So she says, make sure you listen to JoJo's version.
Wow, JoJo's version. Okay, well, we can do that.
That sucks, though. It just sucks that, like, her career didn't take off the way that it was really primed to.
Mm-hmm. And totally out of her control. That sucks.
Also, this is a really weird random fact, but both Sara Paxton and Emma Roberts sing on the Aquamarine soundtrack, but JoJo doesn't.
Weird.
And JoJo is the one who's known as a singer.
That's weird.
I don't know why.
I feel like there's so much more to all of this that would need like a year-long deep dive.
We need to just make like an entire series where we just deep dive on
Our child stars, where are they now?
yeah.
Last but not least, we have Ariel Kebbel.
She's from John Tucker Must Die. She's also Lexi from The Vampire Diaries.
I forgot we talked about this.
We did. We talked about this in our Vampire Diaries episode. If you're a Taylor Swift fan, you have to go listen to that episode because we have fun facts for you there.
Wait, my mind is blown.
Yeah, we love Lexi. We always forget she exists, but she does. And you'll remember her too if you look her up.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was also Lindsay from Gilmore Girls. I don't think you're that far in Gilmore Girls yet.
Nope. In all of my attempts, I have not made it very far. I love the show. There's just so many episodes.
There are. I won't spoil it for you then, but those who know, know. She's also a big horse girl nowadays, and she advocates for wild horses.
Oh, love that.
If you go to her Instagram, it's all horse stuff.
Wow. I love Horse Girl.
Our friend Lindsay would like that.
That's what I was just going to say. Shout out, Lindsay, if you're listening. Our Horse Girl. Okay, should we get into the movie?
Let's do it.
So the movie opens to this underwater scene, and we're looking through the ocean via the point of view of somebody swimming. And we hear singing and giggling, and I'm pretty sure we see like little glints of like maybe shells or like the reflection of scales or something in the water. This is like such an iconic visual. You guys will recognize it immediately if you rewatch the movie.
I loved it. Immediately, I was in the setting and I was like, oh, I'm so here for this mermaid movie.
Same.
On shore, people are setting up for the last splash at Capri Beach Club, and we see Claire, played by Emma Roberts, and Haley, played by JoJo, hiding behind a beach umbrella, and they're spying on the lifeguard Ray, who's played by Jake McDorman. And Haley quizzes Claire on Ray's favorite things, and Claire reads flirting tips in a teen magazine. And I don't know why, but this is going back to what you said earlier. When I was a kid, I thought they were both so cool. And watching it now, I'm like, oh, these little babies are exactly like I was.
Yeah, I know.
Just awkward and trying to figure it out.
Yeah, and I remember that because like we didn't have social media. Like I remember having Teen Vogue and like I don't even know another one because it wasn't like
J14.
Cosmo really. Yeah, like Tiger Beat.
Tiger Beat. Tiger Beat.
The magazines that would have tips. So it'd be like 10 ways to attract a cute boy or whatever. I don't even know.
And you would study them.
Yeah, there's just like unlocked memories for me. It was really funny.
Yes, 17 magazine was my favorite.
Yeah, 17. Mm-hmm.
Haley turns to Claire and she says, Claire, do you realize summer's almost over and you haven't gone in the water once? And Claire says, once would be too many times. So we get a sense here already that Claire is unwilling to swim for whatever reason. And we learn that they only have 5 days until Haley moves to Australia.
And then we see the popular girl Cecilia, played by Ariel Kebbel, and her friends all arrive to the beach. These girls look so much older than Haley and Claire.
I think that's the point, right?
I think so too. Like the vibe I got throughout the movie was like these girls, Aquamarine and the lifeguard, are all maybe like juniors in high school. Like they're supposed to be like 16, 17, whereas I'm pretty sure Haley and Claire are going into 8th grade, they said.
Okay.
I don't know. That's my context clues. Because at first I was like, they're not the same age.
Her friends were actually super familiar too. One of them is Jenna from Pretty Little Liars.
Wow. Okay.
But she has lighter hair, so it's kind of hard to recognize her.
Yeah, I totally missed that.
And then the other one is Dyken Lockman from The 100 and Severance.
Cool. So then Cecilia goes up to flirt with Ray, the lifeguard, and Claire says that Ray is too smart to fall for her. So like they shouldn't even worry about it. But then Claire says, if he's into her, he'll shake his hair, stretch his arms, and flex those muscles. And then they watch him do all 3 of those things. And they scream.
There's a lot of screaming in this movie. That is my one takeaway, is as I was writing this outline, I was like, thesaurus.com, scream.
Lots of screaming, lots of squealing.
So much.
So then the popular girls make fun of Claire and Haley for like screaming because they notice them. And they also make fun of them for wearing so many clothes to the beach. Just so rude.
So rude. Claire's grandparents ask for help taking down decorations for the last splash end of summer party on the beach because it's really windy and stormy out, or it's about to be. And they make a joke that they're firing Ray from being a lifeguard. And the girls scream and argue that they can't fire him. And the grandparents laugh because they were obviously just playing a joke on them. But here's where we find out that the grandparents own this beach club.
Mm-hmm. And everybody knows that the girls love Ray.
Yeah, they're not chill about their crush at all.
So then as the girls are carrying in the decorations, they run into Leonard, who is like a groundskeeper of the beach. He's kind of like always hanging around picking up trash, just like doing random tasks. And we immediately know that the girls are creeped out by Leonard. They don't like him. He's like the scary old man. And then Haley bikes home while the storm is coming in, and she kicks down the in escrow sign on her house. And this is where we find out that she's refusing to pack, and she's even putting her photos back on the wall of her room, which obviously aggravates her mom.
Honestly, I understand. Can you imagine trying to move and your kid is like refusing?
No, I would have been so mad.
Haley goes to Claire's grandparents' beach club for a movie night, and it's storming hard now, and Claire says she doesn't know how she'll make it through 8th grade without her best friend next year, and they worry that it's their last movie camp out.
And then Haley becomes a witch for a second, and she does this like seance prayer thing that is supposed to be a joke, but she's saying it very seriously. This is what she says. O gods of hurricanes, makers of thunder and lightning and majestical waves, useth your power to keep my mom from moving to Australia, maketh her to see the error of her ways, and keepeth us in Bay Bridge. And then there's thunder, and then she kind of like giggles, and she tosses popcorn over her shoulder, kind of like it's a coin into a fountain, and says, Ameneth.
Ameneth. This killed me. I was like, this movie is actually a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
The humor holds up. When Haley gets up, Claire quietly says, Ameneth, and tosses popcorn over her shoulder too. And then the weather vane on top of the house gets struck by lightning and the power goes out. The girls freak out and they scream. And they're actually freaking out that Leonard is going to show up, which I think is really funny. But it's Claire's grandma who actually shows up and makes them scream. And she tells them to come back to the main house to get out of the storm. Overnight, we see the storm drag ocean water into the beach club pool, and a light shines out of the pool.
So then the next morning, the pool is a wreck, and there's tons of seaweed, and there's fish in it from the storm. And the girls run outside because Ray is there to clean up the pool, and so is Claire's grandpa and a couple of other employees. And Claire, as they're all kind of standing around the pool, sees this light in the water, and when she tries to get a closer look, she falls into the pool. And remember, she's scared of water. So then we see her like thrashing around and underneath the water, and as she's underneath, she sees this girl, like, you know, like the mermaidy, floaty hair, and Claire screams, and she ends up getting saved by Ray, which, by the way, is like her dream scenario, to be saved by Ray. And then when they come up for air, Claire screams, there's a shark in the pool. And this is when we find out that she's so scared of the water because her parents actually drowned. And that's why she lives with her grandparents.
Not her saying there's a shark in the pool when she saw blonde hair.
I know.
Claire's grandpa takes her freak out pretty seriously because so much ocean water did get in the pool that it could be possible that there's a shark in there. And he orders everyone to lock it up so no one falls in the pool. Haley, on the other hand, is more excited about the fact that Ray had to save Claire. And I'm actually very surprised that they haven't come up with this plan earlier. Because they always try to figure out how they're going to get Ray's attention. And this would have been the number one trick. But Claire convinces Haley that something really is in the pool. And even though Claire doesn't want to go back, Haley convinces her to sneak back at night to check it out.
So then Haley drops fish into the pool that night to bait the creature out. Which I'm like, if you think this is a shark, why is this so interesting? I don't know. Whatever. And so the girls are arguing about what was actually in the pool, what Claire actually saw, because Claire is now insisting that the creature had hair, because again, that's like one of the main things that she saw. And as they're arguing, Haley accidentally drops one of her gummy worms into the pool, and then they hear a voice say, I bet I know what it was. And they like flip to like look across the pool, and we see this blonde girl, played by Sara Paxton, eating one of the gummy worms, and she's flipping her mermaid tail at them, and she says, I'm guessing it was a mermaid. And this is Aquamarine.
She is so sassy in this part.
So sassy.
I don't think she's sassy for the rest of the movie, but at this beginning scene where we first meet her, she is so sassy. It like doesn't match up to the rest of her personality. Apparently, Aquamarine's tail was over 100 pounds and it had 5,000 scales on it.
Wow.
I can imagine that was like a huge undertaking. And here's the fun fact that we were waiting for. It was created by the same makeup effects studio that did the show H2O.
Wow. The same tails.
Same tails.
Love that.
And they're very realistic tails.
They're huge too.
When you were a kid, did you pretend to be mermaids in the pool?
Constantly.
I think it was Sara Paxton who said, yeah, I thought the role was cool because I always played mermaids in the pool.
It's relatable.
Then Aquamarine swims up to them and says, boo, and they scream. She puts her hands on the side of the pool and her nail polish changes from blue to red, which I also remember always envying. And then she tells them to stop shrieking like a couple of goals.
Yeah, I was very jealous of the nail polish changes even today watching it. It was just fun to watch them because they're all like metallic and like change metallic colors.
Have they made mood changing nail polish yet?
There's mood nail polish.
I need to get some immediately.
I mean, it's quote mood nail polish, but it's like heat changing, I'm pretty sure.
That's fine.
Okay, well, great.
I was a mood ring girl. Like, I just loved that stuff.
Yeah, me too. So then Aquamarine uses her powers to make one of the gummy worms that's floating in the pool come into her hand, and the girls are obviously very impressed by this. And she says that what she can do is nothing, and her dad is the one who actually made the big waves from last night. And she says that he's mad because she swam away from home 3 days before she's supposed to get married off to a merman who's about as deep as a tidal pool.
This movie has great quotes. Does she ever use her powers again in this movie, though?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either. Leonard, the creepy groundskeeper, hears them, and Claire and Haley tell Aquamarine to hide, and they run away. Leonard finds the gummy worms, and he's very suspicious. And in the morning, the girls see that the pool is being drained, and they freak out. They get down to the pool, and the pool is empty, but the mermaid isn't there. And then they hear a noise in the concession stand and find Aquamarine hiding in there naked. And when they ask how she got in, she shows them her new pair of feet, and she also makes them check out her new butt. And she's like, isn't it cute?
I completely had forgotten the plot of like if she just gets out of the water during the day, she gets legs.
Uh-huh.
Like for some reason when the pool was empty, I was like, oh my God, what did she do? Where is she? She just has legs.
Whenever I think of mermaid lore, I always think of this now. I don't even know if it's anywhere but this movie, but I'm always like, oh yeah, mermaids can go on land during the day. Duh.
Duh. So then Haley gives Aquamarine the oversized shirt she's wearing over her bathing suit, and Aquamarine comes out of the concession stand wearing the shirt as this cute halter dress, which is hilarious, and she ends up wearing this dress throughout the movie, just in different halter sort of strapless dress configurations. She like changes the t-shirt around, and the girls are very impressed.
Those are her true powers right there.
Mm-hmm.
The girls take Aquamarine back to Claire's house, and Aquamarine tries out her new legs by jumping on the bed. She says that mermaids only have legs when the sun is out, like we mentioned, but they have to keep them dry so they can't get any water on their legs. And this is her very first time on land.
And then a shell that's sitting on Claire's vanity starts ringing, and we find out that it's Aquamarine's dad who's calling to yell at her. And so the girls go out on the balcony to give her some privacy, and then there's this random storm happening, like all the clouds move and the sky gets very dark, and the girls think it's something that Aquamarine's dad is causing. And then Aquamarine comes out and says that in 3 days she has to prove to her dad that love is real, or she has to honor the arranged marriage. And we also find out here that the mermaids don't believe in love. I have lots of questions about this later. And when Aquamarine hangs up the phone, the storm instantly goes away. And Aquamarine tells the girls that she believes in love because she saw it once, even though no other mermaids do. And then she looks out from the balcony and she says she's going to find love with him. And she like picks out Ray on the beach. And the girls scream no at her and they chase her out of the house.
I was dying at this point, them screaming. The amount of times that they've screamed about Ray is so many.
Yeah.
Then Aquamarine runs up to Ray, who's showering off on the beach, and she says, "Do you love me?" Has never talked to this man before. And he says, "No, but I think you're hot." And then his friends pick him up and he says he'll see her later.
Tragic.
Ouch.
And you can just see Claire and Haley in the background, just like palm to face, because this does not go in line with all the like cool things to do in the magazines they've read.
So funny.
So then the girls try to convince Aquamarine that Ray is not the guy, obviously because they want him for themselves. And she says, fine, then you don't get your wish. And this is where we learn that apparently if you help a mermaid, you get a wish in return. And they ask if that means they could make a wish about Haley's mom. And when Aquamarine says yes, they squeal and they say that they will help her get Ray to say he loves her. So then Aquamarine runs off to go find Raymond, and the girls run after her. And I think Claire is like, wait, you need shoes and undies.
I also kind of love that their friendship means so much more to them than this crush that they have on Raymond.
Mm-hmm.
It's really cute and obviously a theme of the movie, but they've been obsessed with Ray this whole time. And then they're like, oh, wait, you're saying that we could still live in Florida together? Forget Ray.
Mm-hmm.
I love that. Then Leonard is cleaning out the seaweed from the drained pool, and he finds Aquamarine's bracelet and a scale from her tail. So he's onto her. And the girls go to Haley's house, and Haley tells Aquamarine that her mom is a marine biologist working on cleaning up the water in the bay. And Aquamarine says to tell her thanks because the water is 10 times better than it was a few years ago. Haley is surprised by this, and I think this is one of the first moments where she's kind of realizing that her mom is actually doing important work. And that'll come back later.
Aquamarine also gets Haley's pet fish to come out of hiding because she can tell that he doesn't like the lamp that's over his fish tank. And then Claire says, can you get boobs to come out of hiding too?
A fair question.
Yeah. And then the girls tell Aquamarine to call Ray and then hang up. And they're not sure why they do it, but they say that it's just what you do when you have a crush. And Ray answers the phone and Aquamarine screams the loudest scream and then throws the entire phone out the window.
I'm like crying as you're describing it because I just remember how funny that scene is.
And she's just like so excited too. I think right after she's like, let's do it again.
She's so good at playing this not human character who's learning how to be human for the first time. Mm-hmm. She's very endearing in this role. Then their next step is the ride by, where the girls ride their bikes down Ray's street with Aquamarine on the handlebars, and they tell her to act casual, like they don't even know that he lives on that street. When Aqua notices Ray looking out his window at her, she accidentally squeezes the brakes on, I think, Claire's bike, and she flies off the bike. And Ray runs out to help, and he tells Aquamarine to run cold water over the cut on her knee. And obviously she freaks out about this, and she's like, no, no, no. So he puts a Band-Aid on her instead, and Aqua thanks him and tells him the Band-Aid is beautiful. And he's like, will I see you at the street fair today?
I just realized that Aquamarine, I feel like, fits into this really niche archetype character that is kind of also like Barbie and Elle Woods.
Yes.
Where it's like this girl that's like, you could call them like ditzy, but they're extremely self-confident. And they're put in this like new environment, and the comedy is them operating in the new environment, like Elle at Harvard and Barbie in the real world, and then Aquamarine in the real world.
You're so right. You're so right. I actually love that. And all three of those characters are so endearing for that reason. They're kind and they're confident and...
they're always girls. Very lovable.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. And it's sort of like putting the... we talked about this in the Legally Blonde episode, but it sort of puts the like, quote, dumb blonde stereotype, like flips it on its head of just like... also, it's great to just go into every situation with an open mind and to ask questions and be confident in yourself. Anyway, I'm just realizing I love that archetype. I love watching that character, and she is that.
I do too. I need to know of more of them because I would love to watch more movies like that. Maybe The House Bunny is a good example of one too.
Mm-hmm. I feel like maybe even Life Size.
Yes.
So then we see the popular girls roll up in Cecilia's pink convertible, and Cecilia says that she's there for her driving lesson with Raymond. And while they're there, they're looking at this like group of Claire, Haley, and Aquamarine, and they ask who Aquamarine is. And Claire says, oh, that's my cousin. And Cecilia says that Aquamarine is the name of a crown. And Aquamarine says, I was named Aquamarine after a rare and precious gemstone, whereas Cecilia translated means dim-sighted. But your parents know you better than I do. There's her sass.
What a burn. And
then the girls high-five each other and leave, and Cecilia says, there's something very fishy about her.
All of the fish puns in here are so good.
I know. So then back at home, Aquamarine's nails change to purple. She says her finger scales, which is what she calls them, change depending on her mood, but she doesn't know what mood this is, and the girls tell her it must be love.
Then Aquamarine studies teen magazines to prep for meeting Ray at the fair, and she gets frustrated and she says, how do you remember all this? You have to be flirty but demure, devoted but not desperate, available but elusive? And if he calls Wednesday for Saturday, you have to be busy even though you're free? And it just really reminded me of the America Ferrera speech in Barbie.
Mm-hmm. Like all the girl rules are too much.
Yeah, too many contradictions, and it's exhausting. The girls are like, oh no, she's on the brink of boy data overload, and decide to take her to the fair.
So then at the fair, the girls coach Aquamarine on how to flirt with Ray, and she's not doing a very good job of it, but it is still working. And so then Ray gives her a dolphin that he won at one of the carnival games, and he buys her a cotton candy. And she has no idea what cotton candy is, so she starts rubbing it all over her face, kind of like a pillow. Until Claire, who is standing behind her, yells, "I just love eating cotton candy." And then Haley and Claire see Ray doing the hair shake, stretch, and flex. And that makes them very excited because they're like, oh, confirmation. He likes her.
Yes. Ray takes Aqua on a paddle boat around sunset, and they talk about how their dads are both controlling. And he says his wants him to start college next week, but he really wants to take a gap year and travel because he's never been out of Florida. And they both kind of bond over this with their dads. And Aqua says their dads don't get that they need to leave home to figure out what they really want. And Ray tells her that she's not like most girls.
Okay, so this is the answer how old they are. They're going to college, so he's 18.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
I did not even catch that at all the first time.
That's why Haley and Claire are not on his radar at all.
No, they're like his cute, annoying little sisters. We see this a lot later on in the movie, too. Then Aquamarine realizes that it's sunset, which is when her legs go away, and she starts frantically paddling them back to shore in the paddle boat, but they just can't move fast enough, and so she starts calling for help, and Haley and Claire say, "She's gonna pop a tail," and they like run over to try to help her. And then to distract Aquamarine from being upset as they pedal back to the dock, Ray asks her to go to the last splash party the next night with him. And they make it to the dock just in time, and Aqua runs away with the girls to try and find a body of water to stay in that night that isn't the ocean, because she's worried that if she stays in the ocean, her dad is going to pull her back out to sea. And they end up finding a water tower for her to spend the night in, which I thought was very, I don't know, creative. I was really surprised they didn't just put her in the bathtub, but I guess she's too big, like her tail's too big.
Yeah, I'm kind of surprised by that too.
Because we see her in another scene in the movie in Claire's bathtub that's just like in her room and she fits fine. So I don't know.
The water tank is a more comfortable choice, but I wouldn't have thought about it.
Mm-mm. So then Haley and Aqua climb up the ladder and Claire stays on the ground because she's too afraid of the water. And Aquamarine gets her tail back as soon as she gets in, and Haley says goodnight.
That night, Claire and Haley have a sleepover in a tent in Haley's packed up room. With the reality of Haley's move creeping up on them, the girls really hope that they can get Ray to fall in love with Aqua so they can have their wish. And they realize that Aqua doesn't have anything to wear to the last splash, so they decide to go shopping tomorrow in Tampa with the money that Haley made working at the aquarium this summer.
So the next morning, they take Aqua to the mall, and she screams, "Hello!" at the entire mall from the second floor. It's like, you guys know, like when you go into a mall and there's the like overhang where you can see like onto floors below. That's where she's screaming. And Haley and Claire are horrified. But Aquamarine just says, "What? Why go through life unnoticed?" Like, it's giving Elle Woods, don't you think?
Yes.
And then we get this fun montage of all the girls trying on clothes, and they get their hair done, and Haley gets blue streaks in her hair, just like Aqua. And Claire gets her nails painted blue, like Aqua. So it's very cute.
Then the girls get back to Claire's house with tons of shopping bags, and Aquamarine realizes that she doesn't have earrings. Claire gives her some to borrow, and Aquamarine asks why they're pointy and what she's supposed to do with them. She says, "I wear stick-ons," and asks the girls to swim out to a buoy and find starfish for her to wear as earrings. Aqua calls 2 dolphins to take them to the buoy, and Claire tells Haley to go without her because she's still too afraid of the water. Although I did see online that JoJo was actually the one afraid of swimming with the dolphins.
Oh, interesting.
But I wasn't able to confirm it, but they did film this part at SeaWorld.
I guess that makes sense because they definitely needed trained dolphins to be able to swim out with them the way they do. So then while the dolphins take Haley out, Aquamarine tells Claire that she's only seen love up close one time, but if Claire had seen it the way she did, she'd feel sure about love too. Claire asks her more about the story, and Aquamarine says that years ago she saw a couple sailing on a little blue boat, and the way that they looked at each other was in a way that she had never seen before. And she said she's looked for them every year since then, but when she comes back to the area, she's never seen them again. And Claire asks if there was a name on the boat, and Aquamarine says it was called the Claire de Lune, and Claire tells her those were her parents. And Aqua says she doesn't think that they would have wanted her to be afraid of life. they would have wanted her to be friends with it. And Claire tears up and nods, and it's just very cute to know that the reason that Aqua is so sure about the love thing is because of Claire's parents.
Yeah, I love this moment. I think it's a really good reveal. Later at a restaurant, Haley says swimming with the dolphins was the most incredible thing, and she wishes she could have done it with Claire, who kind of looks down, and you can tell she's kind of considering her fears a little bit more than maybe she was in the past. Meanwhile, Aquamarine's starfish earrings are complimenting her. She says because the starfish are big suck-ups.
It's so cute.
And Cecilia's mean friends come up, and Aquamarine tells them she's going to the last splash with Raymond, and they tell her Ray is going with Cecilia because she asked him last night at the street fair.
And then Aquamarine spits water at them and leaves the restaurant. She's like, makes this like double spout come out of her mouth. So there's one stream of water hitting one girl and one stream hitting the other girl. And then she leaves the restaurant. And Haley and Claire follow her while she cries about Ray because she doesn't understand how she trusted that he was into her and that he actually wanted to take her to the last splash. And Haley and Claire say, he's into you. And she says, bull shark. And then says she's going home, and she runs away towards the ocean, and Haley resigns herself to the fact that she's going to have to move because they're not going to get their wish. But then Claire shows some initiative for the first time, presumably because of the kind of like pep talk she got from Aqua. And she says that they should split up. Haley can stop Aqua from going home, and Claire will find Raymond.
So Haley runs up to Aqua and stops her from getting in the ocean, where her dad would pull her away. And Aqua tells her that this was all for nothing, and Haley says it wasn't for nothing, it was for love. Aqua tells her, you know what I think of love? Love stinks. And Haley tells her not to give up. She says her dad said he loved her, but left her and her mom for another woman. She says sometimes love doesn't work, and that's life, but when you find love, it's really beautiful. She also says, I know there's a reason why everybody wants it so much. It's the closest thing we have to magic. And this makes Aqua cry, and she says, what's happening to me? I'm leaking.
So then Claire goes to the last splash party to find Ray, and she marches right up to him in front of everyone. And this is like the equivalent of a huge high school senior party. Like there's cool older people everywhere, and then little Claire like marching up to Ray. And Claire asks him how he could go with Cecilia to last splash after he had already asked Aquamarine. And he says that he asked her before he knew that Aqua had a boyfriend. So Claire's obviously confused and asks who told him that Aqua had a boyfriend, because she definitely doesn't. And Cecilia, who we know is definitely the one that told Ray this, distracts all of the guys by telling somebody that Claire wants to get thrown in the pool. So then she screams, and eventually the boy that's carrying Claire to throw her in the pool puts her down, and she just starts crying and she runs away. And Cecilia says, God, take a joke. And Ray stands up for Claire and says, what's the matter with you? And he goes after Claire to comfort her, and he asks where he can find Aqua.
Then we cut to a very iconic scene where Aqua is in a bubble bath with her tail sticking out. She's eating Ben and Jerry's, and she says, who needs Raymond? I found 2 new men to love. Their names are Ben and Jerry. Then Claire leads Ray up to her room to find Aqua in the bathtub because the bathroom door wasn't closed. But just as they open the bedroom door, Haley jumps into the bath and hangs her legs out the side so they look like Aqua's.
So then Claire makes Ray wait on the balcony and tells the girls that Cecilia told Ray that Aqua had a boyfriend, and that's the reason for the mix-up. Aqua says, ugh, that barnacle. And then she dries off and goes out on the balcony in a robe, and Ray officially asks her out to the last splash. He leaves so that she can get ready, and the girls freak out.
On the beach, Ray sees Aqua, who's wearing the dress she bought with the girls, and they smile at each other. Also, this is where her hair is all crimped. I feel like that is very iconic to me. That's the mermaid hair that we always try to recreate. Ray asks her if she wants to get something to eat, and she says, yeah, I'm good at that. And at the restaurant, she dumps a ton of salt into her glass of water, which, by the way, this whole movie, she's just been eating salt constantly and adding it to everything. And Ray asks to try it in his glass, too.
He's trying to be nice. I was worried that he was going to throw up because, like, drinking salt water makes you throw up. I was like, this is going to go so bad.
I think he just pretends to like it. He's like, that's an acquired taste.
So then while Haley and Claire spy on Aqua and Ray, Haley's mom comes up to them and says it looks like they made a new friend. Haley says it's one more person for her to say goodbye to. And then Claire's grandma congratulates Haley's mom and says that she hears that she was one of 200 applicants. And her mom says that she's been trying to land a grant like this. This is the one that's causing them to move to Australia, by the way, for years. And she hopes they can do some good with it. And we can tell Haley feels really bad for giving her mom so much crap about moving in this moment, like hearing how long her mom has worked for this.
Yeah, if anyone is sassy in this movie, it's Haley.
For sure.
But I would be too, I think. I understand her pain. Then Ray tells Aqua the one place he'd travel to in his gap year is Fiji. And she says it's wonderful there. And he's so shocked that she's been there. And she says she's been to lots of places, but she's learned it's not where you are, it's who you're with. And he really likes this.
Haley and Claire give the band at the restaurant a special request to play Island in the Sun, which they know is one of Ray's favorite songs, and he asks Aqua to dance. She's never danced before and is very nervous about this, and she tries to copy what other people are doing. And he tells her to let the music carry her like a wave would, and that helps her figure it out. But at first, she is like dancing the most sporadically. It's so funny. And then Cecilia sees them dancing and marches toward them, but Claire and Haley step in her way. And Claire says, "Back off. Don't make a bigger fool of yourself than you already have." And this makes Cecilia run out of the party.
Go Claire.
I know. She's got a backbone.
I do love the progression of her character slowly getting more confident.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's sunset. Aqua says she needs to go because she's about to pop a tail. And Ray asks her to stay for the fireworks, but Aqua says she can't. He's super upset because she's leaving tomorrow, and he asks what he can say to make her stay. And she's like, "You can tell me." And then she stops herself, and she tells him to tell her at the pier at 9 a.m. tomorrow. And he's like, "Tell you what?" And she kisses him. And again, I'm like, you're leaving too much. Like, he's not going to read between the lines here. You need to say, "Tell me you love me."
Mm-hmm. He is not going to jump there.
No, he's not. You have to spell it out for them. And then Aquamarine says, "You can tell me how that makes you feel," after kissing him. And the girls giggle and run away.
So while all the girls bike Aqua back to the water tower, Cecilia and her friends follow them in their pink convertible. And back at the party, Ray watches the fireworks alone on the lifeguard stand. And then from the water tower, Aquamarine watches the fireworks too. Then Cecilia and her friends, who are waiting down below in the car, are like waiting to see what's up or like why all the girls came here. And Cecilia says she lives in a water tower, Freak City. And then Cecilia ends up climbing up the water tower ladder and shining her light into the water tank, and she sees Aqua and her tail. And so she gets scared and then locks the water tower door and climbs back down the ladder, and the ladder breaks a little bit on the way down. And she finds out that her friends ditched her and left her to go back to the party. And so Cecilia angrily breaks the rest of the ladder off and drags it away to trap Aqua up there.
Back at the party, Cecilia tries to tell her friends that Aquamarine is a mermaid, but they think she's crazy. Leonard overhears this, and he goes back to read a book about mermaids. And he compares the coin from Aquamarine's bracelet that he found to the picture of a coin in the book, and we see that they're a match. I don't know why this man has a mermaid book, but...
But I'm glad.
I'm glad, yeah.
And then the next morning, Cecilia tells her dad that he heard a girl crying in the water tower, and she thinks that she's trapped. And her dad immediately is like, "Did you call the police?" And Cecilia's like, "No, I wanted to tell you first." And he's a little bit excited because I think he's a weatherman, and so he works on the news. So I think he kind of feels like maybe this is his story now or something.
Mm-hmm. He'll be the first to cover it. Meanwhile, movers are packing up a truck at Haley's house, and she leaves with her fishbowl and goes to Claire's house. She asks Claire if she'll take care of her pet fish, but Claire says that she won't need to because they're going to get their wish. Haley says that maybe they should think about the wish. She says her mom has worked all her life for this, and maybe it's not fair. Claire does not take this well, and Haley says, "Maybe we'll learn to stand on our own for a change." And Claire says, "You mean me." Claire says Haley is so mad at the world that no one but her wants to talk to her. Then Haley comes back with, "How have you lived in Bay Bridge your whole life and you only have one friend?" Haley leaves, and Claire angrily turns on the TV. It's just a nasty fight between them. On the TV is Cecilia's dad, and he's reporting on the girl trapped in the water tank. We see that there are firefighters trying to rescue her, and Claire chases after Haley, and they bike to the water tower.
At the water tower, we see that the firefighters do find something in the water tank, and then they pull out the inflatable dolphin that Ray gave Aqua. Cecilia's dad motions for them to cut the cameras, and you can tell he's very embarrassed. And then Cecilia calls out Haley and Claire and says Aquamarine is a mermaid on live TV. She like comes in front of the camera because she's like so mad and exposes what she knows. And everyone laughs at her, and her dad takes her car keys from her and tells her that she's walking to school every day and she can use that time to figure out why she needs so much attention.
Woof.
Yeah.
We cut to Leonard laughing at Cecilia on the TV in his house. And then we see Aquamarine is sitting with him. I think they're having tea or something. It's really cute. And she says, "There's not usually a man with a ladder around when you need him. I can't thank you enough." He says he could say the same to her because she's the first person who's been nice to him all summer, and he appreciates that. He gives her back her bracelet and says, "You're a long way from home, aren't you?" She hugs him. From the window, we see one of the employees walking by with laundry, and he smiles at her, and Aqua says, "You know, when you help a mermaid, you get a wish," and she raises her eyebrows at him.
Then Claire and Haley try to find Aquamarine, but she's not at the pier where Ray is waiting for her. So then they hide and wait for her to show up, and she does. And Ray says he thought about Aquamarine all night and asks what she wanted to tell him. And she says, "I came here looking for something I wasn't even sure existed, but then I met you, and now I have to ask you, do you love me?" And he says, "I mean, we've had one date."
Aww.
And he tells her he really, really likes her and wants to see more of her. And she starts crying. And he says, "I don't understand. Why do I have to be in love with you today? Why can't we just work our way from there?" And then Cecilia butts in and says, "I have a better idea. Why doesn't she just go back to where she came from?" And pushes her off the pier into the ocean.
I do like how realistically they handle this part, because the whole movie is not realistic at all. But it is realistic when you think about middle school girls thinking that this guy can fall in love in just a few days.
Yes, it's giving The Little Mermaid.
Exactly, but I love that Prince Eric is like, hang on a second, we've been on one date. Like, I like you, but don't you think we're moving a little fast here?
Yeah. I also love that Aquamarine's not like, "I love you," and then waiting for him to say it back. She's like, "Do you love me?"
Both times.
Yeah.
It's like a redo of the very first thing she said to him.
Yeah.
I'm surprised he wasn't scared away, to be honest. So after Aquamarine is pushed into the ocean, there's this big whirlpool, and Aquamarine's legs change into a tail immediately. And then there's this huge storm that rolls in, and her dad's current pulls her away. Ray's like, "Stay calm and don't fight the current." And he says he'll be right there, and he runs away. And Cecilia says, "He still chooses her over me? She's a fish." And then she shrieks.
And then Haley says, "I'm going in." And Claire says, "No, not without me, you're not." And then they jump off the pier together and they swim to the buoy where Aquamarine is holding on. Go Claire!
Yay!
Haley tells Aqua that she should keep their wish so that she can stay here and like keep working on her relationship with Ray. And Claire agrees and tells her to call off her wedding, which I thought this is very cute. They like don't want her to have to go back to her arranged marriage. And Aquamarine says, "But there's no wish. Raymond doesn't love me. My father was right. I couldn't prove love exists." And the girls say there has to be something else they can do. And Aqua cries and asks them why they would jump in to save her and give her their wish. And Claire says, "Because we love you, Aqua." And then Aquamarine cries again and says, "I didn't know you could leak when you're happy too." And her tears fall into the ocean and this bright light appears. And the current stops and the clouds part. And Aqua tells them that they proved to her dad that love exists. This is where I have the questions, okay?
Okay.
Because this, presumably, is like platonic friend love.
Presumably.
Right. But doesn't Dad Mermaid love Aquamarine Mermaid?
Good question.
Because, like, in societies where there's arranged marriage, like, they might not believe in the practicality of romantic love, but there's still, like, familial love. So do mermaids just believe that nobody loves anybody? And so then proving that even, like, platonic friend love exists makes this true?
I think so. Yeah, I guess he doesn't love her, question mark. This is a plot hole.
Yeah, I know.
Unless you want to go the route where a lot of the letterboxd reviews were sitting, which is in the camp that JoJo's character, Haley, actually is in love with Aqua.
Interesting. I like that.
Yeah, in which case, that would not be a plot hole then.
I like that, but then I wish that Haley had been the one to, like, say it first. Because Claire is the one that's, like, leading this conversation, who says, "Because we love you, Aqua." I'm pretty sure.
I think you're right, yeah.
But I like that. That's good.
I do have to say, potential plot hole aside with mermaid politics, I do really like that this movie is just about friendship at the end of the day.
It kind of reminds me of Frozen, like the ending of Frozen. No spoilers, but it's similar.
Yeah. Aqua says, "I guess you get a wish after all." And Claire asks if they can wish for Aqua to stay there forever, but she says she has a family that needs her. She says as much as she wants to stay, she belongs in the ocean most of the time. She tells them to save their wish, and she promises she'll come back to visit, and she'll swim across the Gulf Stream to Australia if she has to. She says, I'd circle the world for you too. And then they all hold hands, and Aqua's nails turn pink. And Aqua gives them each one of her starfish earrings.
I love this moment. I want a starfish earring to say nice things to me.
Me too, I love them. I think they're probably the most iconic thing about this movie. But fun fact, each girl voiced their own starfish earrings.
Oh.
If you haven't seen it in a while, when the earrings clip onto you, the starfish are like, Claire is the best. And they just compliment you.
Yeah, Claire is so brave and beautiful.
Exactly. And that was each girl's voice.
That's really cute.
Mm-hmm.
So then Ray swims out with his rescue board, which, by the way, is way too late to rescue anybody. It has been like 15 minutes. And Haley and Claire swim back to the pier to let him talk to Aqua. As they're swimming, Claire is like, we should just take our time and enjoy it, which is like such a full circle moment of Claire enjoying swimming in the ocean versus the beginning of the movie when she was scared to. And they talk about using their wish the next summer to be able to help Claire afford to visit Haley in Australia. I think it's so cute.
I don't know why I always remember this movie as there actually being no wish. I think that maybe when I was younger, I misinterpreted the part where Aqua is like, but there is no wish. Raymond doesn't love me. I think I misinterpreted that as being like, I was tricking you. There was no wish all along. And so it's still very hard for me to wrap my head around the fact that there is a wish and they're going to use it to help Claire visit Haley, but just way in the future.
Yeah, it's like not the traditional like Disney-esque formula where then you see the big payoff. It's just like, we'll use it next summer to be able to see each other, which leaves the movie very hopeful. But it is interesting that we don't see it happen.
It is kind of strange when we've been talking about it the whole movie.
Mm-hmm.
Then Aqua gets on Ray's rescue board, and he says she has a nice tail. He goes, I'm not sure how to ask a mermaid out, but I'd like to see you again. She says she has to clear the water with her dad first, and he says, maybe you can meet me in Fiji. They kiss, and dolphins jump behind them and make a little heart with their jumps. It's very cute.
It is very cute. Then Claire and Haley see Leonard and the woman that he's in love with holding hands on the beach, which, by the way, this is the employee that he saw. And like you could tell that he liked when Aqua was like, you get a wish too. And then Ray thanks Claire and Haley and tells them that they're extraordinary for what they did. And he kisses each of them on the cheek and they like squeal. It's very cute.
In front of him. I love it.
Yeah. And then Haley and Claire try out their starfish earrings and the starfish compliment them. And then they hug each other and they say goodbye. That's the end.
The end. It was so cute.
So cute. I hope you guys liked this episode. This was such a fun, like, we're going to keep saying it, I guess, like intro to summer. I feel like all these movies are like getting us in the mood for summer. And this was a really cute one.
I think I would watch this movie annually. I don't know why it's been so long since I've seen it, but it's really cute. It makes me feel good. It's a movie for the girls.
It's also an awesome movie if you have little kids. I know we have a bunch of mom listeners that have little ones. This would be a great one to put on that you will also like.
Agree. Yay. Well, thank you so much for listening.
If you liked this episode, consider leaving us a 5-star rating and a good review. It means a lot to us. Or come tell us what you think on Instagram at WhatWe'reWatchingPod.
And we'll see you next time.
Bye.